check the exactly. So welcome to CERN. Few recommendations. You can take as many pictures or video or audio as you want, but pay attention about the other participant of the video. In order to take pictures about other people, for the guide, please ask for consent to respect the privacy laws here in Europe. Then, I let you follow Sijan, that will be your guide today for the guided tour. Stay with you for the world tour, go with the group before to finish, and then just enjoy this experience. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So let's start from after the flags, there, quarter.
We're going on an adventure. In science. Best kind of adventure. Nie, asta ajunge la tine. Numai că e scris în franceză acum, e ca tramvaiul ăla pe care l-am luat ieri. Vopsit.
Wagon francez, wagon telefonic, wagon camion.
Știi care e faza tare? Acum înțeleg ce zic.
Corect.
La tine n-am înțeles.
Nici nu mă uitasem, văzusem doar acolo gaming something. I was like, okay, whatever. Credeam că e la păcănele reclama.
Okay, let's start from here. Welcome to visit CERN. So in next hour, I will go together with you to visit a special place at CERN. The place is special because it is the very first accelerator built at CERN 65 years ago. 65 years ago. It is not too far away, just 200 or 300 meter walking. The machine is not very big. We are going to go into the machine hall to see a special kind of movie to tell you many details about this machine and also history of CERN. Before we go into the machine hall, there is a small gallery with some posters to explain the history of CERN from 1940 until now. So I will spend 10-15 minutes to explain those posters. Then afterwards we go into machine hall to see the movie. After movie you will have some time to walk around, take photos, ask any questions you have. I will do my best to answer. Then after we come back, we will come back to here. I will say some final words here. So before we leave, let me explain myself in a few words. My name is Sijin, S-I-J-A-N. I'm a physicist working at CERN since 1988, 34 years ago. But I'm not always here. I come to go. Sometimes I have to go back to my home institute to teach. But whenever I'm not teaching, I come here to do the research. What I'm doing here is, you may heard the Large Hadron Collider. CERN has a big machine called Large Hadron Collider, with a big circle with circumference of 27 kilometers. This is the largest scientific instrument in the whole world. On this big collider, there are 4 big detectors to do the experiment. Among these 4, 2 of them are most important one called general purpose detector. General purpose means we can use these 2 detectors to study many physical topics, but the most important one to find Higgs boson. So these 2 detectors found Higgs boson 10 years ago. Then 1 year after Professor Higgs got Nobel Prize because of this discovery. So these 2 big detectors, from size point of view, the largest one is called Atlas, which is not far away, just across the street over there, the big paint on the wall, that's Atlas building. I will explain Atlas briefly after we come back to here. This big collider is big. Now we are here, Atlas is here. CMS, I myself is working on CMS, is far away, 9 kilometers from here. But these two detectors work together, independently, but we are doing the same work. And then, so after the finish the visit, you don't have to return the badge. You can keep them as your souvenir. So we don't have that much time. Let's go. Let's start.
Ci stanno tenendo qualcosa un Mint Independent che è,
Da.
e gallerie visitabile.
Ne lasă să mergem de nebuni.
Un pic.
Okay, let me explain this big thing a little bit. Please come to the grass and leave the road for other people walking. So this big device is a part of Large Hadron Collider. This big collider is very big, 27 kilometers long, but it is not built on the surface, but 1 meter below surface inside of a long tunnel. Actually, this big machine is made by many pieces of magnets, 9,000 pieces of magnets linked to each other. Each magnet has a similar diameter like this, but different lengths, some long, some short. This one is the longest type of the magnets. This one has 1 meter diameter, 50 meter long. Each one weighs 35 tons. Then the cost roughly 1 million Swiss franc. Totally, we have 1,200 pieces of this big one. Then this type of magnets alone will occupy more than half of the total length. Another less half is occupied by another 8,000 smaller magnets. The largest one, also the most important one. The function of this type of magnets is actually to change the direction of the proton beam. Proton beam will go through this magnet, not only this one, goes through every magnet. Particle goes through it. If without this type of magnets, or if we don't if we turn off this, don't turn on, then the proton beam just goes a straight line, always go forward, never change the direction. But if we turn on this magnet, one particle pass through it, the direction of the protons beam will change a little bit, very little, 0.3 degree, almost invisible. But because we have 1,200 pieces of this big one, 1,200 times 0.3 is 360 degrees. So by using this type of magnets, eventually we can drive photon moving a big circle. If without this one, we would not have circular machine. So another 8,000 smaller magnets are also important, but they are doing something else. Inside of each magnet, no matter long or short, inside of each magnet there are two pipes. Pipes are not very big, 5 centimeter diameter, two pipes apart 20 centimeter. So one pipe is to guide photon moving in one direction, another one is to guide photon in opposite direction. They are parallel each other. All the magnets are linked to each other. All the pipes also connect each other. So these two pipes are always parallel each other along this big machine, never cross, always parallel. Except only at 4 points. This big circle only at 4 points. 1, 2, 3, 4. Only at these 4 points, two pipes merge into one, then two beams collide each other. Then surround these 4 collision points, we build 4 very, very big detectors to do the experiment. So there are one thing this machine is different from many other machines built before is all the other machines can be working in the room temperature, but this one outside of this blue tube, that's room temperature or same temperature what we are here. But all the internal part, not only this big one, smaller one also, all the 9,000 piece magnets, internal part of each magnet, we have to cool them down by using many hundred tons of liquid nitrogen and liquid helium to cool them down to very, very low temperature, minus 271 degrees centigrade. Not only to cool them down, but to keep them cold for long time, many months per year or couple of years. So that makes this machine is not only from size point of view is the largest one in the world, but from a cooling point of view is the largest cooling system in the world. But why do we have to cool them down? I will explain that during the visit. Okay, so you may come back to take photos after I say some final words. So now let's move to the SC.
Damn.
1200 de movimenti.
Mai am un pic și pot să fac și eu pe frigiderul de acasă.
De dimensiunea asta?
Smaller.
You just want one Higgs boson, not just many of them. Se vede că tipul e angajat de mult aici, încât la poza din badge ce tânărie.
N-am văzut.
E tânăr.
He's awesome though.
Yeah, he is. Crezi-mă că trebuie o anumită măsură de entuziasm să faci chestia asta.
Da, da, da.
Să faci pe turbe.
Asta sau it has been tasked. Știi?
Cum?
He has been tasked. You go do that.
Și prin rotație, da.
What time are we climbing until tomorrow? Yeah, super hot.
Yeah.
Maybe we should buy another litre bottle.
Yeah. We're inside. You know what? It can have stairs, I don't care.
Chiar că ce?
Poate să aibă scări, nu-mi pasă.
Ah, ok. Turul precedent sau turul în germană?
Da. Sau ne intersectăm. Cafeteria.
So let's move in.
Ale era sfârșitul celui tur.
Okay, let's start. Welcome to visit this place. The name of this place is called SC. SC is standing as synchrocyclotron, is a special kind of accelerator. As I mentioned, this one is the very first accelerator built at CERN 65 years ago, but it has never changed locations. It was operational from 1957 until 1990. After 1990, it stopped working, but still sitting there as an exhibition. So this gallery has two sides. Each side has two parts. The lower part is to list some interesting events in the whole world during the period from 1940 until now. So eventually you can look by yourself. I just mentioned few of them, such as 1954, CERN was born. 1961, first man was sent to the space by former Soviet Union. There was one event, I didn't know it until I see this poster. First Lego toy appeared in the world 64 years ago. Then there was something else, like Berlin Wall was fall down 1989, September 11, terrorist attack in New York City 21 years ago. So another side is similar but not identical. You can see the first color TV in the whole world was made in 1951. First satellite was launched in 1957. Berlin Wall was built up in 1961. The other part of the lower portion you will look by yourself. Let me concentrate on the upper part. Upper part is to tell during this period what happened at CERN. So very first accelerator, not very big. You can compare size of non-size machine. So the total size, total circumference of this machine only 50 meters. Small but quite important because we got first-hand experience on that. Then just 2 years after, we built a much bigger machine than this one. It's called the proton synchrotron, short name is PS. This machine has a circumference of 600 meters, more than 10 times bigger than this. This machine was the most powerful accelerator in the whole world at that time. But now it's no longer one. One thing this machine is different from this one is, this one was stopped in 1990. This one, after 63 years running, it is now still running well. And also plays some kind of role in Large Hadron Collider operation, because the Large Hadron Collider is very big, 27 kilometers long, but it is not a single machine, not a lone circle. Actually, we need several smaller machines to push proton to higher and higher energy step by step. This one is in the middle step. Then 17 years later, we built another bigger machine, more than 10 times bigger than that one, called Super Proton Synchrotron, short name is SPS. This machine has a circumference of 7 kilometers, more than 10 times bigger than that 600 meters. This machine was also the most powerful accelerator in the whole world. At that time, this machine had been run for 46 years until now. Now it is still running well and plays a very important role in Large Hadron Collider operation, because this machine will receive the beam from PS, then beam will run on this machine for a couple of hours. When energy high enough, it will directly deliver the beam to the Large Hadron Collider. Very important now. Also, in its 46 years history, itself also had made some very significant achievement. I just mentioned two of them. Before 1980, all the machine at CERN is one beam accelerator. One beam, one energy high enough. This done with collisions by one beam hit a target. We call this kind of experiment as fixed target experiment. But around 1980, we put the second beam into the same machine. Two beams are run in opposite direction. The one energy high enough, one energy of the beam high enough is starting with collisions, not by one beam that hits the target, but by two beams colliding each other. Then the accelerator becomes collider. The collisions made by collider are typically much more powerful than one beam hit the target. This one is not difficult to think about, such as in our daily life, if someone would drive a fast car not very carefully, got an accident by one car to hit a wall. the damage on the car by one car to hit the wall would be much less than if two cars would have head-on collision. The same thing happened over there. By using very powerful collisions made by collider, then 3 years later we discovered two important particles called WZ bosons. Because they are very important, 1 year after, two physicists at the CERN got the Nobel Prize because of this discovery. Then people consider this machine as a Nobel Prize winning machine. Then 6 years later, we built another bigger machine, nearly 4 times bigger than that one. That one's circumference is 7 kilometers. This is 27 kilometers. So this machine called at the beginning called Large Electron Positron Collider, which has the same size as the Large Hadron Collider, but because they were using the same tunnel. But from 1989 until 2000, this tunnel was hosting Large Electron Positron Collider, which has the same size as the Large Collider, but much lower energy because the beam of this machine was electron instead of proton. Since the electron is nearly 2,000 times lighter, therefore the energy is much lower. This machine has been successfully run for 11 years. In the year 2000, all the components of this machine were dismounted. Actually, as I mentioned when we came here, all circuit machines, no matter small or big, all circuit machines actually are made by many pieces of magnets. Smaller machine has a less number, few hundred. This one has a few thousand pieces of magnets. But all those magnets were of this collider were dismounted in the year 2000, lifted up to the surface, had gone somewhere in the world, left the whole tunnel empty. Then we used 8 years to have made another nice piece of new magnets and lowered them down to the 100 meter below surface, linked them together, then to form the Large Hadron Collider. This machine has one thing different from all machines built before. All machines built before, all those magnets were made by copper cables. We use a cable to conduct the electric current, many turns, and it produces very strong magnetic field in the middle. Copper is a very good conductor, also relatively cheap. That's the reason almost everywhere in our daily life we use copper cable in home, school shops. But copper still have tiny resistance remaining in the copper. If we drive a large current through copper cable, it will become warm. A current would be very large, it will become hot. A current would be too large, it will be too hot. Finally, copper will be melted and broken. That means there is some limitation. We cannot drive too much current through copper cable. Then we use cable to make magnets. The strength of magnetic field is proportional to the current. Now we use many these magnets. We try to push particle to higher energy. The level of energy we can achieve is proportional to the strength of magnetic field, also proportional to the current. That means by using copper cable, we cannot push proton too high energy. Otherwise, the copper cable will be broken. But this one is different. All those nice piece magnets are not made by copper cables, but made by cables with a special material called niobium titanium. Two kinds of metals alloy to each other. These kind of materials, if we cool them down to minus 271 degrees centigrade, it becomes almost zero resistance. We call that in the superconducting state. Once we reach that state, because there are almost no resistance, eventually we can drive much more current through this cable than through copper. Typically, this kind of cable can drive as much as 20 times more current than copper cable can do. By using this cable, eventually we can produce magnetic field 20 times stronger than the magnets made by copper. Then we use these strong magnets. We have achieved we have pushed the proton to the highest energy in the world. How high it is? So far we have pushed the proton up to 7 TeV energy. This number this level is 7 times higher than the previous world record held by a US machine near Chicago. That machine could push proton up to 1 TeV. This is 7 times higher. The TeV is the unit we are using to measure the energy. The T is a trillion. Trillion is million. After 1, 0, 12 zeros. And EV is the electron volt. Is the unit we are using in the particle physics research. It's not difficult to see, to learn that. Electron volts, we may learn by this way. If we go to supermarket, we can buy many small battery with 1.5 volt each. If we push one electron from negative pole of battery to the positive pole, electron will gain the potential energy for 1.5 electron volts. Then this one eventually is equivalent to 5 trillion pieces of battery linked to each other. So the good thing for this machine is by using this special material and superconducting magnets, we can push proton to the highest energy in the world. But the price we have to pay for is all the machines built before, we don't need the very complicated cooling system. The only thing we have to do is to use cooling water, normal cooling water, to cool down the hot copper to the room temperature. That's good enough. But this one is different. All those nice on-piece magnets, all the internal part, we have to cool them down to very, very low temperature, -271 degrees centigrade, by using several hundred tons of liquid nitrogen and liquid helium to not only to cool them down, but to keep them cold for a long time, many months per year or a couple of years. That makes this machine is also the largest cooling system in the world. This machine has run for nearly 15 years. No, 14 years. 14 years. We originally expected this machine can do something, can do some work which cannot be done by the smaller machine. But the most important one is to find Higgs boson. You may heard the Higgs boson was proposed by Professor Higgs more than 50 years ago. Many thousand, 10,000, or even more physicists in the whole world tried very hard for nearly 50 years. We couldn't find it until this machine became operational. Even this machine started to run 2008. Finally, it took us 4 more years until 2012. Then 2 big experiments, after the CMS, many thousand people worked together very hard. Finally, these 2 big experiments found Higgs boson in 10 years ago, independently, around the same time. Then 1 year after Professor Higgs got the Nobel Prize because of this discovery. Then this machine will continue to run for another 20 or 30 years with a little bit higher energy, more intense beam. So we hope this we can find something more in next 20 or 30 years by using this machine. So this is roughly the part of the story about CERN, how we build the machine bigger and bigger, finally the largest one in the world. Any questions?
Yes, I have one.
Go ahead.
When it first began, who founded the CERN labs? Just Switzerland, or?
No. So, later in the movie, you will see there were many people, including some important physicists in the whole world, discuss how we build a European laboratory. Then they choose CERN at few of the candidates. Finally, choose Geneva. Then at the beginning, they have how many? 13 or member state. So there's 10 member. Now it's increased from 13 to 23, I think, something. It's an increase year by year, not year by year. For every few years, there are new member state. Then they share the budget and so on.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. may think more questions later. Let me quickly go to another side, then we're going to see the movie. This side is to explain another part, another important part of the equipment called the detectors during the particle physics research. This is also important as the same importance as the all machine build listed there. All machine listed there regarding no matter small as SC or as big as larger hadron collider. All machine listed there regarding the size have only one function. That function is to make a collision with the beam. Either one beam hit a target or two beams colliding each other. Then after collisions, each it will produce a lot of debris. We call those debris as secondary particle. Then then we need another set of equipment to analyze those debris, then to get a physical result. This is called a detector system. If without this system, the all machine lists there are almost useless. Because after if they make a lot of collisions, then nobody or no equipment can analyze those debris. Then we cannot get any result from those collisions. Therefore, this system has the equal importance as all machine listed there. So I like to emphasize what is the purpose of the detector, how it is working. Typically, detector is built surrounding this collision point. Suppose the collision there, then we build big detector surround it. The purpose of the function of the detector is after collision there are many debris, then the detector is to identify those debris, to see what kind of particle they are, how fast they are moving, how much energy each particle has, what is charge, so on. Then we store those information into computers. Then sometimes later we will retrieve those information by using many computers. We try to trace those particles back to their collision point to see what happens when the collision occurs. This is what is the purpose of detector and what method we are using to do the particle physics research. Then these two types of equipment are developed typically in parallel because we don't want to build accelerator collider first, then to build a detector, because some detectors take more than 10 years to build. Therefore, we do them in parallel. Whenever accelerator colliders start to make collisions, then the detectors can immediately start to analyze those debris, get the physical result. Because they are developing in parallel, typically they are separate each other, except the very first one, single cyclotron, because the machine is not very big, we put the detector and the accelerator detector in the same structure. Later, you will see more details in the movie time, because this movie is different from normal movie we saw in the theaters. This movie is not only to show the image on the screen, but sometimes the projectors will change the direction from this way to shine the light on the machine to tell you which part is doing what. You will see more details in the movie time. So quickly go through that. Small machine, small detector, bigger one. For the colliders, colliding beam detector are typically cylindrical shape. One beam comes from right, another comes from left collision in the middle. This LEP the collider has 4 big detectors. Typically, they are 10 meter diameter, 10 meter long. Each one weighs a few hundred tons. But all those 4 big detectors were dismounted together with the collider in the year 2000. Then we built 4 more even bigger detectors to do the experiment on the Large Hadron Collider. So this picture is the second largest one called CMS, which I have been working on that for 28 years. This detector is smaller than others, but still quite big. You can compare size of one and size of the detector. So this cylindrical shape of detector, diameter of this detector is 15 meter. Atlas even bigger, 25. So this is 28 meter long. Atlas is 43 meter long. This one is 3 times smaller than Atlas, but it is 2 times heavier than Atlas. Atlas is 7,000 tons. This is 14,000 tons. because we use a lot of ions on this detector. Small but heavy. In English words, we call that the compact. The name of this detector is called CMS. The first letter C is standing as compact because it is smaller but heavier. More than 3,000, nearly 4,000 people come from more than 40 countries, more than 200 institutes from all over the world. Worked very hard for many years. Finally, we built this detector, run it well, got some nice results. The 3,000 different people from different universities and laboratories working on Atlas. This is 7,000 people work very hard for many years. Then finally, these two experiments got found the Higgs boson 10 years ago independently around the same time. Then 1 year after, Professor Higgs and it got the Nobel Prize because of this discovery. So these 4 detectors together with the Large Hadron Collider will continue to run for another 2 or 3 decades. So we hope we have some good luck or some chances to find something similar to Higgs boson in the next 2 or 3 decades. So this is the complete story of CERN, how we build the machine bigger and bigger until the biggest one, and finally we got some nice physical result. Okay, any questions? Or you think some ask me later. So before we go in to see the movie, let me explain one important thing for 1 minute. So this movie, as I mentioned, is different from normal movies we saw in the theaters. It is not only to show the image on the screen, on another side of the building, the wall of the another side of the building, around the blue light. The screen is the blue light over there, but actually the real side of the screen is 2 or 3 times bigger than that. Not only to show the image there, but sometimes the projectors change the direction of light from this way to shine the light on this machine to explain different parts of the machine. But this machine is quite big. There are some upper parts, some lower parts. In order to prevent the unfortunate situation, something like if all visitors are randomly standing on the floor, sometimes overlap each other, then one projector changes to this direction to show the lower part of the machine, some people may block sight of others. In order to prevent those kind of unfortunate situations, it is strongly suggested all visitors please go to left side of the corridor along the glass wall with blue light without overlapping. Then the one projector changes this direction, people would not block sight of others. Okay? Thank you. Please come in, go to the left side.
Natural horse lady.
Cool.
So you don't have to go too close because otherwise the screen is too big. You have to go this left side. So the movie will last about 13-14 minutes. Unfortunately, we don't have many chairs, but only 2. If someone would really need to sit down, you may sit down the 2 chairs. For other people, I heard this room will be cleaned several times per day, including the floor. So I hope the floor is clean. If someone would like to sit down, you may sit on the floor. Okay. You ready?
Let's start with the jokes.
Focus.
1949, Europe recovers from World War II. Many eminent scientists have left for the United States. European research is no longer world class. To reconstruct European science, the visionary French physicist and Nobel Prize winner Louis de Broglie proposes the creation of a European laboratory that would be both a centre of excellence in physics and a motor for peace. His idea is taken up by American Nobel Prize winner Isidore Rabi, who together with Pierre Auger and Eduardo Amaldi convinced UNESCO to adopt this process. 18 months later, 12 European nations formally agreed to create the Conseil Européen pour la Recherche Nucléaire. The acronym CERN is born. Important decisions are taken in the first sessions of the new council. Geneva is chosen as the seat because of its central location in Europe and its international tradition. 2 accelerators are put forward, the synchrocyclotron and a much larger machine, the proton synchrotron. A new convention defines CERN's goals, stating that its research will have no concern with military requirements and that all its results should be made public. The CERN Convention is signed by 12 nations. Among the signatories are eminent physicists such as Werner Heisenberg. CERN comes into existence. 1954. On a site in Meyrin, a small village near Geneva, work for the new laboratory begins. Within a year, the farmland is transformed into a large complex of workshops, offices and buildings to house the new accelerators. The 5-meter thick walls of the synchrocyclotron building soon emerge, while the different parts of the new accelerators are manufactured in several European countries. The synchrocyclotron's magnet coils require particular care to pass through some of the Swiss villages on their way to Meyrin. As components arrive, they are assembled with great precision. Everything starts to take shape. The synchrocyclotron emerges, piece by piece. Some 54 elements are put together for the magnet frame. A total of 2,500 tons of steel. Next, the 2 7.2-meter diameter magnet corners are installed. With a current of 1,800 amps, they generate a magnetic field of 2 Tesla. The rectangular vacuum chamber is fixed inside the magnet. A system of large vacuum pumps is installed to evacuate the 25 cubic meter chamber so that protons can circulate unimpeded. This is followed by the installation of 2 D-shaped electrodes inside the vacuum chamber. Together with these electrodes, a radio frequency generator creates the electric fields. That accelerate protons from a source inserted in the center of the vacuum chamber. In summer 1957, the synchrocyclotron is ready, and CERN's first accelerator comes to life. The purpose of the synchrocyclotron is to produce and study new particles. Before accelerators were available, such particles could only be observed in cosmic ray experiments. The new machine accelerates protons to 80% the speed of light, producing millions of new particles when those protons collide with a target, giving scientists the opportunity to make systematic measurements. Operation of the SC requires a sequence of actions. Massive pumps extract the air from the vacuum chamber so that protons do not collide with gas molecules during their acceleration. In the proton source, hydrogen gas is ionized and a cloud of protons is injected into the middle of the synchrocyclotron. The accelerator makes use of magnetic and electric fields. The magnetic field is produced by a current of 1,800 amps flowing through the coils of the huge magnet. Two D-shaped electrodes with opposite polarity are fixed inside the vacuum chamber in the middle of the magnet. Protons have a positive charge and are drawn towards the negative electrode as they traverse the gap between the electrodes. The magnetic field forces them to follow a circular trajectory, and they return to the gap after 1/2 turn. Meanwhile, the radio frequency generator reverses the polarity between the two electrodes. The protons are now attracted to the opposite electrode and gain more energy. This process is repeated over and over again. Every time the protons make a 1/2 turn, they are whipped around faster and the radius of their path increases. After more than 100,000 turns, they have reached an energy of 600 million electron volts and move at 80% of the speed of light. They are now close to hitting the target, and the first experiment can begin. In 1957, young scientists from all over Europe arrive. Among them are Maria and Giuseppe Filipari. Giuseppe wants to study a short-lived particle called the pion. In 1957, there was a mystery surrounding the pion. Theory predicted that a direct decay into an electron and a neutrino should happen, but this had never been observed.
Phenomenology of this was only later on in 1957, when with the theory, the Riemann theory, the problem really had some kind of solid theoretical basis. So at the moment, the absence of the pi decay was very critical. It was essentially a block for the physics to go through. It was here the effect like a block. And it was at that time, in January 1958, that I thought that was the right moment to do this type of experiment.
Giuseppe and his team set up a clever experiment. The pions are stopped in an apparatus designed to study their subsequent decay. In 1958, only a few hours after they start the experiment, the first pictures show clear evidence for this rare decay.
I can imagine. I was really excited. Really surprised. Can discuss. I mean, it was something exceptional. It was something I was seeing something for the first time. As a scene before.
This first important discovery spread CERN's name around the world. Over the following years, scientists at the SC continued to make many important measurements on particles, atoms, and nuclei. 1967, a new idea takes shape called ISOLD, an isotope separation device. Protons from the synchrocyclotron collide with target nuclei that are split into short-lived fragments, which are then rapidly scrutinized in experiments. The study of such short-lived nuclei with too many or too few neutrons helps to understand how heavy elements are produced in exploding stars. The synchrocyclotron accelerates its last beams in December 1990. After 33 years of the exceptionally long and successful career, the SC was retired.
We felt that the synchrocyclotron had worked very well, much more longer, even what much more longer than anybody ever expected. Because he renewed in the field of physics, exploded in the 33 years. He passed, explored many different fields and being very useful.
Following the synchrocyclotron's construction, CERN built bigger and bigger accelerators. The proton synchrotron, the intersecting storage rings, the superproton synchrotron, the Large Electron-Positron Collider, and the Large Hadron Collider. Many important achievements were made, some of them being rewarded with the Nobel Prize. The drift chamber, which revolutionized particle detection, the cooling of particle beams, the discovery of the carriers of the weak interaction, and the Higgs boson, which proves the existence of the Brout-Englert Higgs field. In 1989, Tim Berners-Lee, while working at CERN, created the World Wide Web, which has since changed our world forever. The Large Hadron Collider will continue to run at higher energy and higher intensity, with more than 11,000 scientists from over 100 nationalities, hoping for new insights into the secrets of the universe.
I think that the curiosity and the need to do research inside is a part of our humanity, so there will be always a CERN. So there will be CERN in the future.
What started once as a vision for European science has grown into a unique model for global scientific and technological collaboration. CERN demonstrates how science can unite nations and contribute to a better world.
Okay, I go to turn on the light.
Awesome. That was awesome.
Wow. So much light. So much awesomeness.
Okay, this machine is not very big. Compared with the large Hadron Collider, it's much smaller, but it still uses some big parts, big nuts. Those big parts need big tools on the right side. So you have a few minutes time to walk around, take photos, ask a question to me. Then before we leave, I will briefly explain 10 people on the world. Okay, please walk around, take photos. Yeah, okay.
I have only one question. Can we go down?
No. Verifică zoom.
Pe e de la 2:30 ca să văd ăla.
Nu mă, dacă la dashcam, la bodycam, verifică zoom, că dacă ai ratat prezentarea asta, te bate, te sparg, te mănânc, te fac să mănânci camera.
Very nice.
Un X.
N-am semnal. Zi și noi, da.
Îți ziceam că la un moment dat
Rocks.
era...
Rocks.
Era parte din movie unde făceau piesele la Oricon.
Am văzut, da.
How do you do that? How much coverage is we do? 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 How much coverage is
Yeah, so it is very difficult. So because we are not accelerating one product. Actually, we are accelerating one bucket. Each bucket contains 100 million protons, right? Then even the number is so big, but the proton is so tiny. At the beginning, the bucket has the size of less than 50 square. And it is still
Aici se bagă fisa.
Da. Maximum 600 ton.
C'est la pression de passer 360. 300. Cum e 60 în franceză?
60 cm.
Atmosphère dans le vérin acționne l'arrêt d'urgence.
Ăla e news.
Nu. Știu. E dezafectat, nu complet.
Știu, dar asta e la 140. Și acum cu din alea.
Să bage.
Să înceapă să facă ca o Dacie. These were numbers.
Very mechanically clicky.
Are you sure you can touch those? But you can afford it.
E foarte mișto ca robinete așa, știi? Adică nu se strânge. La un moment dat ajunge la un punct, păc, și acolo a rămas. Te văd de greu.
Okay, it's roughly the time to go back. So before we leave, let me explain these 10 people on the world briefly. So these 10 people have made a great contribution to this laboratory 60 years ago, including several Nobel Prize winners. The very first one is the French physicist Louis de Broglie, who got the Nobel Prize about 100 years ago because of quantum mechanics. He is the major contributor to the quantum mechanics theory. Actually, it was him who made the first proposal to build this big laboratory. His idea was supported by other people, including the second one is the American Nobel Prize winner Rabi, in the middle is the German Nobel Prize winner Heisenberg, next one is Denmark Nobel Prize winner Niels Bohr. Professor Bohr was the person who promoted the satellite model of the nuclear atoms. Each atom has one nucleus in the middle, several electrons around it. There are some equipment and tools used at this laboratory. the 50, 60 years ago, which are no longer useful now. Then we put on the tables and in the wall to show how technology has been developed in the last 50, 60 years. Such as in 60 years ago, there was no computers. At that time, we used a mechanical calculator to do the calculation, and the first device on the table from another side. There were no computers to edit the text. We used a typewriter in the middle. The telephone at that time is a rotationary stair, which is quite different from a cell phone we are using now. So, please make a final photos as you wish. So we have to move back. I don't know whether another group is waiting.
Super.
Okay, you may waiting outside. I have to turn off the light.
Okay.
Whoa. Sorry. It's kind of hot out here. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Kind of sunny too.
Territorial safety officer.
So please come with me. Please come with me.
And now we sneak out.
Look,
Deeper into CERN.
the cafeteria.
Now is the time to sneak away from the group.
Da.
Dun, 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 dun. N-am făcut data trecută chestia asta, că am avut turul cu aia.
Dar presupun că și ăla a fost mișto. Presupun că și ăla a fost mișto.
N-am înțeles.
Presupun că și ăla a fost mișto.
Foarte mișto faptul de la oameni care se lucrează aici și nu făcut să pună turul, știi? La privat, dar dus chiar lângă țara, la Lopsii. La de-aia, nu putem să vă arătăm cum arată înăuntru, că e pornit. Bă, da, we'll die.
Yes, but you'll die happy.
Străpui și mă voinicle. Ce organizați sunt numai campus.
Da. Și acum mai controlează să nu fugă cu particulele.
Got any protons on you?
Ja, aber ich weiß, ja, aber
That was super fun.
Hm?
That was super fun.
Yep.
Acum hai la microcosm.
La ce?
La vinăuntru.
Ah, da. I'm not leaving until I saw everything.
The what now?
I'm not leaving until I see everything.
So car, very vroom. So car, very vroom. Much gas? Much expensive.
Much expensive, yes.
Okay, let me say some final words here. This is roughly under your tour. I wish in last short hour you have learned a little bit about some. So afterwards, actually, you have several more places, a few more places to visit. First one is actually in the past, before the COVID pandemics, your tour should have 2 hours. 1 hour is at SC, another hour is at the Atlas is that building is Atlas building. The Atlas detector is located 100 meters below that building, so inside of a very large underground cavern. But we cannot go there because one machine running, it will create a large amount of radiation, which are very harmful for our body. Therefore, a very restricted safety rule. And CERN is saying one machine running, no any single person is allowed to stay on the ground. Everybody has to come up to the surface to control this big detector or machine by many computers remotely. So you will see in that building, the ground floor has a big control room. There are some videos and the models. A guide will explain to you that through a big window you will see a big control room there. Then second floor is later you will go upstairs to see the in a small conference room. You will see another movie. That movie is a 3D movie. Everybody has to wear the special glasses to see the atoms and the particle physics vividly. But unfortunately, that place has not reopened to public yet. We hope it can reopen soon in future. With it, maybe they will have 2 hours again. Another thing is the big globe. I don't know how many people have visited this globe yet. If not, someone visits. But the globe, again, this globe is a birth gift from the Swiss federal government to CERN for the 50 years anniversary. Inside the globe, there are 2 floors. The second floor is the auditorium. You can use to organize meetings, seminars, so on. The ground floor is a big exhibition for public. Then there are some special models. Also, you will see another movie there. That movie is different from SD movie you just saw, different from 3D movie at Atlas. The movie inside of this globe has a 360-degree screen. Everything is around you. This movie, to explain CERN particle physics large hadron collider. This exhibition has no charge. You can go free of charge. You can go anytime. Also, there are no time limits. You can spend as much time as you wish over there. Besides that, there was another exhibition downstairs, reception called Microcosm with many posters and models, but without movie. The last thing I like to mention is you see a lot of construction there. Those construction is the newest project of CERN for the general public. That is, we are building a big new education and outreach center with the name of Scientific Gateway. So total budget is 70 million Swiss franc. Then hopefully it can finish at the beginning of next year, including this project, including a big new auditorium behind this globe with several hundred seats. Also, two big tubes, exhibition hall. Then people can cross the street, not through the ground, but from corridor. There's some new exhibition hall in this side too. So hopefully it can finish at the beginning of next year. Then if you would visit again at CERN, you will have a brand new place to visit in next year. So this is all I can say for you. Thank you for your visit again. Wish you have a nice new week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now you can keep your badge as a souvenir, then go anywhere you wish.
Thank you.
Okay.
Ce-ai găsit?